Good evening and welcome. You're watching Newsbreak with me, Sanket Upadhyay. So first, there was a huge, I won't say ruckus, but a huge controversy and a debate over subjects being changed in the history textbook. And now there seems to be an equal amount of controversy as the NCERT has removed a very important chapter from the science textbooks. So after history, now science. What has happened is Darwin's theory of evolution has now been removed. So first of all, let's start with the basics on this program. What exactly is Darwin's theory of evolution? Survival of the fittest, it says. The species keep on evolving or changing with time. It needs, the needs of organisms change as they adapt to the new environment. These are all theories that were taught. As per Darwin, superior changes are naturally selected and inferior are eliminated. For example, people living in tropical countries have more melanin in their skin, and all organisms share common ancestry with some organisms. As per Darwin, all organisms had a common ancestry at some point. Evolution is slow and a gradual process, usually billions of years. Organisms best adjusted to environment are successful in surviving. Now this, as many academicians feel, is a very important part of education in science which should be taught to children so that they understand the theory of evolution. Where do we come from? What is our background? How have we evolved into being what we are right now? And that is the significance of this theory. Darwin's ideas considered the foundation for all modern sciences. And this is being said by a lot of scientists. It also helps scientists to understand the changes by species, find the fittest organism in species. It is used to study inheritance of traits and characters. It helps scientists to study adaptation and evolution of living beings. And when this was removed, about 1800 scientists and educators have penned an open letter. This includes Soumitra Banerjee, Indian Institute of Science and Education Research in Kolkata, biologist Raghavendra Gadakar, IIS Bengaluru, biologist L.S. Shashidhara, Director of National Center for Biological Sciences, astrophysicist Aniket Sule, Homi Bhabha Center for Science Education, biologist Sudha Rajamani, IISER Pune. So these are among the 1800 scientists who have now penned an open letter saying that this should not be done. So what exactly has happened? The NCERT, which is of course the agency responsible for students' textbooks, has axed the Darwin theory, the theory that we just spoke about that has been removed from the science textbooks. So what exactly are these scientists saying? They're saying students will remain in their thought processes as this is a dangerous change. Many of the scientists and educators have said this. They say evolutionary biology, an area of science with a huge impact. It also addresses our understanding of humans and place in life. Evolutionary biology is important for the world around us. Depriving students of this theory is a travesty of education. Extremely strong words which have been used. They disagree with such dangerous changes and we demand the restoration of the evolution theory. That's the point that has been made by these scientists. Now this is not the first time the NCERT has changed the syllabus. In fact, they say that this is part of rationalization of class 10th, 11th and 12th NCERT syllabus, and in the past it has happened in the context of history. We know that the content on Mughals, Congress and others were removed. The chapter on rise of popular movements has been removed, about rise of socialist and communist parties in India. The chapter on the era of one-party dominance has been removed, which is of course the reference to the Congress party. Chapter on Mughal courts removed, chapter on Central Islamic lands removed, chapter on confrontation of cultures removed, chapter on democracy, diversity has been removed, chapter on popular struggles and movements has been removed. And now the syllabus has been rationalized in science as well. So on the show, we debate. We are calling this the Darwin debate. This theory of omission, is this the evolution of a controversy? I would like to introduce our guests. We have Professor Devraj Mukherjee, Associate Professor at Ramjas College, Delhi University, Professor C.B. Sharma, Professor of Education at the Indira Gandhi National Open University, D. Raghunandan of the Delhi Science Forum is also with us. Deshatan Nigam is an advocate and a political analyst, is also with us. In just a short moment, we'll be joined in by Mr. J.S. Rajput, former director of NCERT. In fact, he is now with us. Thank you very much. J.S. Rajput, I would like to begin with you, sir. Do you think that this rationalization or the change in the name of rationalization is justified, especially in the wake of 1,800 scientists and educators penning their open letter?
You see, this 1,800 does not matter to me. They come up whenever they feel like. But one thing I would like to say, it is necessary for the textbooks to be revised and to be changed. Now, if there has been a proper consultation, there is no harm in doing in revising it, in changing it. Let me also mention that, as I know, the new syllabus has not yet been prepared. New textbooks have not been prepared. That is, the process is going on. This is my knowledge. What they are doing is they are trying to rationalize the books that were there. Today, a lot of people ask me about the Darwin has been removed. And I found out that Darwin has not been removed. Darwin is being discussed in class 12 in great detail. Now, you expect NCERT to reduce the curriculum load. You want it to become more analytical. You want children not to go by memory, but we learn to think about it. All these things are there. You know, this story is being repeated. What happened has happened in 2000, 2004. And every time there is a change of government, this will happen. So I am not surprised by the protest, or 1,800 or 2,400. They are also even pleading for the Amrita Sen to retain the extra land which he has occupied, rather grabbed. So this doesn't matter. What we have to say is Darwin has not been removed. Mughals have not been removed. It has been rationalized. So I am not worried about it. I am not worried about the future of the children. And I am not worried about the politicians and political activists who normally are considered as intellectuals. There are others also who can think in different ways. They also love India, the children. I had gone through the whole process. I had also removed 9 paragraphs. If you say that Jain community, which says of 24 Tirthankars, has imagined these Tirthankars only to establish their religion as the ancient one. There was no habitation wherever the Tirthankars have been said to work, said to have been born and work. Now, how can you accept these things? There are many historians who think otherwise. For example, the existence of Ram and Krishna. In my books, I can read before you. It was mentioned that there was no habitation, no evidence, either of Krishna in Mathura or of Ram in Ayodhya. Now, this is something which have to be considered by the historians of different ideological things. They must sit together. My only complaint is, why don't these people talk to other historians? Why don't they talk to NCERT? Why don't they go and give facts? I had done it. I have given facts to some people who were our authors. I went to them personally. I requested them. Nobody knows this. And I said, sir, you will remain my author. You will remain NCERT's author. Kindly go through all the suggestions that have come. Revise the manuscript. They said, no, we will not work with BJP. Now, with such a prejudiced mind, you cannot analyze academic things rationally. And this is what is happening this time.
Okay, let me ask this question of Professor Devraj Mukherjee. You heard what J.S. Rajput had to say. How would you respond? That this is rationalization, not omission.
Let me mention one more sentence.
I'm glad you called people.
Professor Devraj, let me mention one small sentence. I have not seen the whole thing. I have not seen this time what has been removed, but this is my general observation and impression.
Okay. Professor Mukherjee.
So let's begin by stating upfront that I'm glad you've called academics and people associated with the learning process and not politicians to talk about the issue. The fact is, these discussions primarily should happen among educators and should not be in circulation in political circles, because picking and choosing can happen. I have some, in defense of what the NCERT has done, as Professor Rajput has rightly pointed out, this is a regular process. It hasn't happened only in the history book. It's happened in the botany text. It's happened in the physics text. It's happened in the mathematics text. So matrices has gone out, some rational numbers have come in, etc., etc., etc. To focus only on the revision in the history books and to therefore see it as a political process is wrong. I think partly we are also responsible. I think there is too much political interference in our educational policy framing, and that is a problem which has offset subsidiary problems, and that we cannot brush aside. Aside from that, the problem of the exclusion of Darwin from earlier classes does present, in my opinion, a specific problem. Yes, it is being taught at class 12, but why it should be taught earlier? Because to not study Darwin is specifically to foreground an agenda which is rooted in certain kinds of politics and which is rooted in certain types of religious biases. Is this true of India? Not at all. It's not whether Darwin should be taught or not. And the Christian right-wing lobby is insistent on it not being taught because they believe in the 7-day creation myth. And Darwin is a scientific theory which they are ideologically, which is religion, by their religious beliefs and persuasions.
Okay, I think we're losing the connection on Professor Mukherjee. You're making a very important point, but Mr. D. Raghunandan, would you like to tell us what you feel about this rationalization? And Mr. J.S. Rajput uses that word over and over again, that, at one point we want to rationalize the syllabus, reduce the syllabus, so obviously something will have to go. Now the concern is what is being axed or removed to rationalize this syllabus?
Right.
And
that's
what purpose is it serving?
And I think I'll continue from where the previous speaker left off. Rationalization is one thing, but this is rationalizing the fact that selective changes are being dropped in the name of rationalization. So the phrase rationalization itself is used to cover up a trend, I think, of what are the subjects that are being dropped. I don't now want to go into the history, etc. I think a lot has been spoken about that. I want to confine myself to the issue at hand, which is Darwin. If we want to reduce the load on students in terms of curriculum, etc., there are other subjects which could have been trimmed, or their depth could have been trimmed. What is strange here is that a child can go up to the 10th standard and pass out, after which the child may or may not take up the sciences. If the child does not take up the sciences after the 10th, she will not know anything about Darwin at all. This is like a child passing out from the 10th without studying the solar system. We don't do that to children. We don't say, unless you specialize in science, you don't need to understand the solar system or to know whether the sun rises or the earth goes around the sun. We teach that to everybody as a part of core conceptual understanding of a student. And I think the same applies to Darwin's theory of evolution. My second point is that if the child does not know anything in standard 10, and this process of rationalization has been applied by cutting out the chapter on evolution in class 10, there's nothing in class 11 on evolution, and then straight at class 12 you've gone into evolution in some detail, as Professor Rajput said. The problem there is the student at class 12 is, I think, ill-equipped to understand the complexities of evolution unless the child has gone through learning about evolution from 10, 11 through to 12, suddenly to be thrust with Darwin at the 12th with all the concepts is, I think, something akin to the legs being chopped off and the torso being left to figure out where it will find its way. I think this is bad pedagogy. I think this reflects a rather random process of rationalization in which some parts are being cut out and some parts are being retained. And in this particular case, it is, I think, particularly pernicious, if I can use the word, partly because without treading on political ground here, but one is compelled to also point out that there have been many spokespersons from government, etc., from outside, who have had very negative comments to make about Darwin's theory of evolution, whether it is correct or not. Ministers have pronounced that it is not a correct theory and should be dropped from syllabus and teaching. This lends substance to perceptions that there is a motive behind the dropping of...
behind axing the theory.
But whether there is a motive or not, the fact remains, I think, the reason why these 1800 odd scientists, and I too am not particularly bothered about numbers, but these are very eminent scientists, knowledgeable people, also knowledgeable in pedagogy and teaching. The fact that they have objected is because they consider Darwin and the theory of evolution to be a part of core educational understanding. And let me emphasize that the new educational policy not only talks about rounded education, talks about interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary studies, and this seems to go contrary to that. That a child can pass out from class 10 without knowing evolution, it doesn't matter. Whereas, as your introduction, Sanket, pointed out...
Yeah, Mr. Raghurandan, if you allow me, let me just
get last sentence, Sanket.
Sure, sir.
That if, just as you said in your introduction, understanding about the theory of evolution is part of our understanding of our environment, the natural life around us, without which I think it will not be possible for us to develop a true understanding of our environment and our surroundings and of our lives and the lives of other beings around us.
Okay, so that's why it becomes important. Professor C.V. Sharma, would you like to weigh in on two of the panelists here seeming to suggest that there is a political motive behind this rationalization, that various politicians, various sections of the society do not believe in this theory because it goes against their religious belief? And I'm not talking about any one particular religion. Do you think that has become a factor?
Sanketji, I call it a hua culture. People are speaking without facts. I have confirmed from the NCERT, the Department of Science Education, NCERT, had done a complete research and has come out with a report that the class 9-10 curriculum had heredity and evolution as a chapter, and students found it and teachers found that chapter too heavy. So the evolution part was removed. Now, whether a minister has said that evolution is not something scientific, or the Christian mythology says that because the God created in 7 days, it just doesn't matter to me. Ministers keep making statements, Bible may say something, but that doesn't affect the curriculum. What I would like to refute is, go and see the class 7 curriculum, evolution is still a chapter there. All those who are speaking that evolution has been completely removed is completely wrong. I have just confirmed from the NCERT, it is in class 7 syllabus and evolution is there. Third, these books were written 17 years back and we keep revising the books. Why was there no hue and cry when books were revised in 2005 after the government changed in 2004? Now when it is revised, there is a hue and cry. Leave it to the NCERT. Look, those who are in higher education, teaching at colleges and universities, have a view that they are teaching 22, 23-year-old. We who go to the classroom understand what a 6-year-old, 8-year-old and 14-year-old is. They don't understand and keep professing on television that this has been removed, this is so important. This may be so important for students in higher education. I don't think it is so important for our students who are in school. They need to be given that idea of evolution, but they don't need to be explained in such detail, because as Professor Rajput mentioned, and very rightly, the curriculum has been very heavy on Indian students, school students, and we need to rationalize.
Okay, we've heard the academics
not
here.
Not only because of COVID.
Yeah.
This was done, the exercise was done before.
Okay, we have heard the view of the educators, and there is a reason why we refrain from calling any political guest or any representative of a political party. So it's important to hear the view of educators and academicians. And now for an analysis of what this means politically, because two of our panelists have suggested in that direction. Mr. Deshratan Nigam, how would you respond? That this is a function of this rationalization is a function of politics rather than actual rationalization.
Sanket, incidentally, I have a scientific background. So I would rather call this an evolution debate, not a Darwin debate.
Yeah.
Darwin theory is outdated and outmoded. Today's theory is modern unified synthetic theory of evolution, and which is quite heavy. It cannot be fit in 9th and 10th standard. And the criticism of Darwin's theory, it is unable to explain sudden extinction of a species. It only talks of survival of the fittest, but not the arrival of the fittest. It is badly fails there. It does not explain the effect of use and disuse of organs and the presence of vestigial organs such as appendix. It does not talk about genetic mutations which results into new species. It does not talk of evolution of terrestrial animals from aquatic forms. It does not explain the phenomena of extinction of certain organisms which had specialized organs like mammoths. So let me tell you, this theory is already outdated and outmoded. So what is to be taught is the new theory, which is worldwide accepted, and that is what needs to be. But that's quite heavy. It cannot be fit in 9th and 10th standard. I am sure about it. The isolation of a species results in different kind of species. The missing links are not being explained by Darwin theory. The Darwin theory should be taught as to how it is outdated and outmoded in a larger sense. I am sure class 12th will deal with it. So this is rationalization. This is what I call rationalization, and the number of reasons I have given to you, none of them is political. It is all scientific.
Yes, that's
so
true.
This is rationalization, and that is what is to be taught.
Okay, I have just 30 seconds left, but Mr. Raghunandan wants to reply. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I completely disagree with Professor Nigam on this point. We are not talking about Darwin the individual.
Okay,
we are talking about the evolutionary theory, which Darwin had initially propounded and which has been updated, which is the way science grows. Science is not frozen in time with Darwin. And the process of evolutionary biology, including genetic mutations, followed after Darwin and came up later. And this has all been incorporated into evolutionary theory today. I completely disagree with the statement that Darwin is outdated, which in fact seems to me to betray a kind of a motivation for doing away with Darwin by saying Darwin's theory is
okay. I've completely run out of time. Thank you very much, Professor Devraj Mukherjee, Professor C.B. Sharma, Mr. D. Raghunandan, J.S. Rajput, and for the purposes of this program, an honorary Professor Deshratan Nigam. Thank you very much for joining us.